I'm Bob the Cigar Guy. This is Traveler's Rest, South Carolina, and this is the podcast experience with me, BTCG. Camacho presents I Got the Smokes. Let's ride episode 31. That's right, 31. Oh, wait, I got that thing. Oh. You would think that I would figure these buttons out. I got the crickets. What's funny about this is sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Sometimes you can hear them in the audio, sometimes you can't. I mean, it's, oh, that's magic right there. Oh, that's magic right there. Let's see what we got here. Oh, that's not used often. That should be, but then I would have self-worth problems. I would feel so bad if every time I said something that was bad, it would sound like that, or crickets like that. Hopefully you're hearing those. What else? Oh, we got that mix noise, the needle sliding off the record. If you're young, you don't know what a needle on a record is. Put the needle on the record when drum beats go like this. Oh, and don't bet that don't. Anyway, thank you. The applause. You usually can't hear the applause for some reason, but I need a little bit of that. When I probably deserve some of this. Or some of this, maybe a little of that, right? But I'm done playing with that because we've got some stuff to do. It's 5 o'clock. It's Friday. It is time for you to get out of that job, to leave it and start living. That's right. We go to work so that we can live. We don't live so that we can go to work, even though sometimes it feels like that's reversed, at least for me. Extremely busy. So we'll talk about that maybe. But the good part of living is on the other side of that car door. Once you get home, you get in that garage, driveway, parking area, whatever, put that thing in park, cut that car off, open the door, shut it, get in the house and start living with the ones that you love and love you back, because I know you. I may have never met you, but I know who you are, and you or somebody worth loving. I do mean that. Absolutely, positively, 100%. You've got love to give and love to be given to. So get you some, give you some. And let's get into the show. Episode 31, like I said, let me pull that out because this gorgeous backdrop that Chief has put up, by the way. Notice that the band is different this time. It's not blue. It's this white. Fantastic. Blue is my favorite color. If you don't know that, you can tell by the backdrop. It's almost always blue because I like blue. So I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be violet sky, I could be purple, I could be hurtful, I could be anything you like. And blue would be that color, right? I'm blue, da ba dee da do. Blue. Oh, I'm lonesome for you, right? I'm sorry. Don't mess with my blue suede shoes. Don't have any, but I wish I did right now because that would fit the outfit, even though I'm just wearing a pair of gym shorts and a t-shirt with my Psycho Bunny hat on, right? I like the Psycho Bunny. Yeah, I'm a little hip to the game. I got the polo. I got the Psycho Bunny. I wear it every once in a while. I like it. It's weird when I wear Psycho Bunny out. Let me get a smoke on a cigar before I talk about that. This is the Camacho 2025 limited edition. I reviewed it. Please watch. Why? Because I need the views, right? I could use them. But I've got this branded Camacho cutter. Look at that. It matches the little scorpion in the bottom corner right there. Look at that. Chief did a great job. You've got the watermark right there. Then you've got the little badging right there. You've got it right here. Oh, that's nice. That's wonderful. And there's not one on the band. So I guess I'm lucky that I have my cutter. But let me open this Cigar cutter. Let me get a chomp on it. Let me get a toast on it. Let me talk about Psycho Bunny. My experience with Psycho Bunny. It's very weird. Now, Psycho Bunny has limited edition everything. That's one of their gitches, is they only make it once and then they don't make it anymore. So if you don't buy it when you get it, then you can't. And I'm not spending $100 on a t-shirt. And that's what they are. When they first come out, it's $100. No. And then the t-shirt or the shirts, the polo shirts, which I have some of those as well, they can get up to $200 something dollars, 150, 180, $200. Oh my gosh. And the hoodies and this and that, it just gets exorbitant. And it's kind of cool because that keeps it exclusive, but people will buy it, get it for Christmas or get it for a gift or whatever. And they'll put them up on eBay. And I will look at the pictures and make sure there's no stains, nothing. And I will purchase secondhand Psycho Bunny. Yeah. For Christmas this year, the first lady bought me 3 Psycho Bunny hats and some Psycho Bunny t-shirts and I think a Psycho Bunny polo. And that was pretty much my whole Christmas because that was a lot of coin. And I rocked the fool out of them. But when I wear my Psycho Bunny shirts, I get the weirdest looks from people my age and a little younger. I'm 55 now. Yes, I'm old. I have my glasses over there to prove it. My readers. Yeah, I got to use them. My safety glasses at work have bifocals so that I can read the computer. God, I'm old. Anyway. And a Psycho Bunny t-shirt, it said Psycho Bunny across the front of it. And the waitress comes up and she goes, "Are you in a motorcycle gang?" And I'm like, "What?" She goes, "Your shirt, Psycho Bunny. Is that? I've heard of that. That's a motorcycle gang, right?" And I'm sitting there going, "Nope, it's a designer brand." And then I get other people kind of look at it, guys especially. They're just kind of look at it like, "What is that?" And it's a bunny with a skull and crossbones, right? I really like that. I like the logo. I dig the logo. And they'll kind of look at it kind of funky. And ladies will say, it's kind of weird, "Man, I like your shirt." And I'm like, "Well, thank you." Because usually it has bright colors. It's most of the stuff I have are not that day glow colors. They have a lot of that, but they'll be like last night I went out with the first lady. We went on a date. I loved it. And I wore my Psycho Bunny shirt, my polo. It's a black polo with a blue Psycho Bunny and blue on the collar and blue on the sleeves. And it just accents. It's nice. And so people will look at it and like, "Ooh, what is that? Oh, what is that?" Which is kind of different than when I wear my polo. I wear polo shirts a lot still, get them on sale. I get them on the clearance rack or I get them on eBay for Christmas. And I wear those and people say, "Oh, that's polo. He's sponsored Ralph Lauren," right? Which I'm cool with. Usually I will be wearing my Ariat jeans. So I'm not that fancy, right? I still got my pocket knife in my pocket, right? That's a fact. And last night I wore my old school sneakers. I've got some British Knights and some Troops. If you're old like me, you'll know that British Knights and Troops were the thing. I can't keep up with these Nike kids. I can't keep up with them. I just can't keep up with them. The whole Nike thing. No wonder you're spending a ton of coin on a pair of shoes, hundreds of dollars on shoes. And you can buy Nikes cheaper at the outlets, but they're not the ones everybody thinks is cool. There is such a class system of those shoes, and you have to basically go to camp. I'm either in this guy's camp, or I'm in the Jordan camp, or I'm in the LeBron camp, or I'm in the whatever people camp. And, then you need to kind of know something about them or you're a poser, right? So I don't want to be a poser. So I just go back and I like to be an individual. I like to stand alone by myself. Um, and so I was really into British Knights when I was in high school and Troops. LL Cool J was rocking the Troops. So I rock Troops and British Knights. And so I find them new. I don't buy used shoes. It just feels kind of weird. But I buy them new. You can still buy them new, inexpensive if you buy the right ones, and you get those cool things. And so you get people come up and say, "That's cool," right? They point at your shoes, say, it's cool. Because everybody else is wearing Nikes or Adidas, right? I don't wear Adidas because when I was a kid, we were very humble financially in my family. And it was pre-Walmart, pre-internet. We did have color TV, but we got a remote control that actually was the red light that you could point at your eye or at the mirror and it would do, but if somebody got in the way, it wouldn't change the channel, and it only had 10 buttons on it, and enter 12, enter and clear, and so that's it. It was as big as 4 phones. It was huge. It was a brick. Y'all know that one, right? It came from the cable company. You had 30 channels, and you thought something. Right now, we have 7 million channels, and you have to join this streaming service and that streaming service, and you can broadcast from your phone or your laptop, and I hate it. I just want to turn on TV and watch TV, but that's an old man rant for another day. But I'll write the British Knights because I'm gonna be a poser with Nike. Adidas, I won't wear Adidas because, like I said, we used to go to Kmart. That was the big Walmart of the day. We used to go to Kmart and they had Trax, TRAXX shoes, hot bottom. We call them hot bottom shoes, cheapest sneakers in the world. And they had 4 of those little stripes across the shoe on the sides of the shoe at an angle. And so when I saw Adidas, it just was too close to Trax poor kid shoes. And so I was like, I ain't wearing that. And I still don't wear it. To this day, I don't wear Adidas just for that reason. I know I'm stupid. I know. Oh, what is the new word? I'm neurodivergent. We're going to talk about that. Why? Just why? Just really why? Anyway, so rocking my gear. We're about to head off to Barn Smokers in a couple weeks. Connecticut, Drew State's big event. We're going to be heading to that. Me, Chief, and the First Lady will be out there for a 2-day event. We'll be out there for 4 days. Get there Thursday, leave Sunday, and so I've got a couple pair of British Knights and Troops, but I want to get a fresh pair. Don't tell Chief I bought a pair of shoes. Don't tell him. Don't tell him. But I'm going to buy me another pair of shoes. Probably buy another pair of Troops. Guess what color? Blue. I got the blacks. I don't like the reds, even though it's LL Cool J's original look. It's just too red for me. It's just all red. So I like it broken up, a little white, a little black, a little color, right? I do. I like it. All right. Call me fancy. I don't care. I'm an ogre with style. Old style. But I tell you what, this Camacho doesn't go out of style. That is for sure. And by the way, let me run one of these things across the bottom. Oh my gosh. Do you smoke cigars? Well, if you do, thanks for being here. Light up a Camacho or a Davidoff or a Zeno or an Avo. Why not? And what's missing? Well, you. But also, what cigar brand is missing? That's right. Say it with me. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Baccarat. That's right. The Baccarat. And I still need to get me some more Baccarat because I don't have much experience with the Baccarat line. I talk about it all the time. But you know what? When I talk about it all the time, I just know that I need to live life bold. That's right. Live life bold. That's the Camacho way. Right? All right, we got all of those out of the way. Oh, wait a minute. Let's throw this one out. We haven't thrown this up in a while. Check out Chivetta Report for all of the latest news of the cigar lifestyle. Thank me later. That's right. Chief does a lot on our website. You can go to Chivetta Report and you can check it out. We have tons and tons of press releases, especially since this year's PCA. We have a lot of manufacturers that send us emails, press releases. And so we have a ton of that going up on Chivetta Report. And so you'll get to stay in tune with the news. Also, Chief hosts a Chief Talk Discord. I don't get on it because I just don't have time with the little bit I do on Instagram, what I do on Facebook, what I do here. And Discord, I'm just an old dude and I just don't want another platform to jump on. I don't. I do the Dojo Verse with Cigar Dojo, Eric Gutmerson's thing. It's Facebook for cigars pretty much. I love Dojo Verse. I'm not on there near as much as I want to be. just because I'm bored out and wide open, and we're going to talk about that. What did I say we were going to talk about? Oh, that word. Let me take a puff of cigar. So as we transition, I hope you heard it. As we transition into the next phase of this show. So let me get a puff on this. I apologize for all my bad singing earlier. Look at the ash on that thing. My scare line is tiny, tiny. Fantastic. This was a replacement of this year's Liberty Series. Camacho puts out a 4th of July series every year. And this year, instead of them doing a Liberty Series in those little coffins, they came out with the Camacho 2025 limited edition. Move your fat fingers, Bob. Look at that right there. So this is the 2025. I said 24 earlier. 2025 Camacho limited edition. Fantastic cigar. But let's get into that word that I talked about that I made a face on. If you're driving, don't look at me. Keep driving. You need to get home safe. Neurodivergent. What is neurodivergent? I'm listening to this. I watch a lot of YouTube shorts and Facebook reels. I do not do TikTok. I don't. When TikTok first came out, it seemed like it was a place for middle school and high school girls to dance like girls who are trying to get paid to do dances. It's not a good thing, and I just think it was making young ladies grow up a little faster and presenting themselves in ways that they will probably regret. And I just, number one, I don't need to see all that mess. Number two, I'm just like, and then there was a whole China stealing all our information thing. I don't know if that's true or not, but I just stayed off of TikTok, right? And TikTok has now changed. It's become a much different platform. I'll own that, but I don't need that extra platform. And Chief and I have back and forth on Chief Talk on Thursdays at 8:15. Every Thursday at 8:15, you can come and hang out, and you can watch a great 2 hours of fun. It is fantastic. There is a community in the chat, and they'll have conversations, and we're not talking about it. It's wonderful. Chief and I both love that, and we have guests on, and we have stuff like that as well. Chief does a great job, but he'll say TikTok something, and I'll say TikTok is the devil. It's the back and forth that we do with our age gap. It's fun, it's funny, and it's true. I don't watch the TikToking, and he's not watching it for that mess I'm talking about. He watches it for all. He's got some cool stuff on there, but I don't need it. But anyway, I watch this lady lately that she talks about communication and how you should communicate. Some of the stuff is kind of weird. The distance if you're going to be a good communicator where you have warmth and you have competence, those are the two things that make you a good communicator. People have to know you care, and people have to know that you know what you're talking about. And so to present yourself that way, you need to make yourself tall from the ears to the shoulders. Maybe. But you don't crunch yourself up and make yourself small. You make yourself larger. And so a little tilt in the head, 3 head nods, slow head nods. Let people know that you're engaged in their conversation. Eye contact, 60% of the time, unless it's Asian people, and then you're supposed to do it 70% of the time. And you stare them in the eyes, and that's supposed to do. And you're supposed to stare them in the eyes at the end of whatever your statement is that you want to punctuate. You just look at them. Right? It's kind of gets, but there's also some things talking about inflection. Some of the stuff is valuable. I mean, she's putting out a lot of content. She puts out there's a video or two pretty much every day, and so you can't talk about the same exact thing every day and have people watch you. So she probably is saying, well, I gotta have something to talk about, so we'll talk about this. And so she talks about being neurodivergent. Neurodivergent. And we're gonna old man deep on this. Neurodivergent means anything that is not completely normal in the mental health spectrum. If you have ADD, ADHD, if you are on the autism spectrum, if you have OCD, PTSD, anything that just makes your brain not run like normal people do. I haven't found a normal person yet, but the average person, I guess, the masses average mindset, which I have those things. I have the OCD. I have the ADD, ADHD. When I was a kid, it was just called hyperactivity. I was just that kid that had to get my butt tore up. You know, the reset button is deep in your sit upon. And my mom would hit that reset button often, and it would give me discipline and teach me to manage myself. But my head thinks different. It does. I see him. I do directions and pictures. If you tell me how to get somewhere by landmarks, I will get there. Then by telling me go down to Jones Street, to First Street, to Third Street, I get lost. I do. I get lost in the big bathroom. But I can see the pictures in my head. I take pictures that way. I have 6 thoughts going on at all times. Even right now, I have 6 different thoughts. It's like sitting in front of 6 TV screens going on different channels, cable and a remote, or the streaming service. And you just watch them all and drink them all in at the same time. That's what's going on in my head, which gives me the ability to create and build and do all sorts of neat stuff. But now you're neurodivergent. Okay. There's a thing. The first lady's in mental health. She has a master's in counseling. She is a supervisor training other counselors, new counselors, how to be counselors. And she has a private practice where she does mental health counseling. Amazing, fantastic, phenomenal. It's very, very important. And in that realm, she needs phrases like in that realm, there's a book called the DSM, the Diagnostic something manual. And what that does is, number one, if you're charging insurance, you have to put in a code. Or if you're in a hospital setting, you have to put in a code. And so that's how they charge and how they diagnose you. But they put all that stuff in there. But also when you're doing counseling, you put those in there, and then that tells you kind of what's going on and how to direct people to be the most successful and the most fulfilled people they can be, right? And so it's very helpful for mental health professionals. So a word like neurodivergent is valuable to the first lady for her job. Facts. But for everybody else, we don't need that word. That word is just a way to feel like you're in a clique or a group, or you can just shorthand what's going on instead of diving in. It just kind of smooths the edges over so that you can say you're in this group instead of saying, I've got evidence, I've got issues of elements of ADD, ADHD, or OCD, or this and that, and then you can carry on the conversation. I have tools, tons of tools. I have more tools than most neighborhoods have. I do. And that's because I have struck out on many, many careers and many, many jobs on purpose. Let me talk about that in just a second. But I had to stop and puff on this Camacho limited edition 2025. Fantastic cigar. Fantastic cigar. By the way, if you didn't notice, if you can't tell, this episode is brought to you by Camacho. That's right. Live life bold. You can see the cigar on my shoulder over here. You can see the badging on the bottom. You can see the scorpion. Got a cough. Sorry. Sucked in smoke. Scorpion watermark. You can see I got the smokes. Let's ride with Bob the cigar guy all over that. Chief did that. He did a great job. This is the second week that we've put this banner up, and I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm going to make him do more. Don't tell him, but he's going to. I'm going to have all different color cigar bands, right? It's going to be kind of cool. I'm looking forward to it. So I've got a degree in machining. I've got a degree in welding. I've got a degree in auto body. I've got a degree in mechanics. I've got a degree in, I've got a CNA certificate. I don't use that, but I have that. I have other college degrees and all that stuff. And I'm not saying that to say, oh, look at me. No. Just because you have a library full of books doesn't mean you're well read. Right. But I've got all these things. I built highways, built bridges. I built houses. I've restored cars. I built hot rods. I've done machine work. I've done HVAC work. I've done commercial work. I've done a ton of things. And in each one of those things, I buy tools. And so I have amassed a ton of tools. I also have a forge. I have a plasma cutter welder. I have all the wood tools, the lathe. I have a wood lathe, hunting a metal lathe, and a metal mill right now, but I haven't found them yet cheap enough. I've got the planers. I've got the joiners. I've got the table saws. I've got tons of battery-powered hand tools, and I've got tons of toolboxes of tools and this and that, but I have hammers. Oh my gosh. And so if you are a blacksmith, you need to know what blacksmith hammer I'm talking about. Right? You have a peen hammer. Do you have a facing hammer? Do you have a spreader hammer? You have this and that. So you need to know that because that's a specialty you're in. In machining, there are hammers in machining. They're very few, but you have machining hammers, right? In construction, you have framing hammers. You have rafter hammers. You have roofing hammers. You have all of those hammers. In mechanics, you'll have ball peen hammers and sledgehammers for that bolt that just won't work. In auto body, boy, you have a lot of hammers in auto body. You have all sorts of crowned hammers, chiseled hammers, pointed hammers, pin hammers, you name it. There is tons. And now I'm getting into making coin rings. By the way, I do coin rings and coin ring cigar rests. And I have a different set of hammers for that. And so in each one of those disciplines, I have different hammers. Yes, I can use a framing hammer for body work, but it's not going to do the job that I want it to do. I need to be able to know which hammer. And so if I'm in a shop working on a car doing body work and I'm up under a car and I don't want to get up off the ground because it took me forever to get down there in the first place. And I say, hey, do me a favor, reach out and give me that flat-faced smooth hammer with the 90-degree chisel. I want them to be able to go to the toolbox and pull that out. But if somebody's working at their house and they are having to put a nail in the wall, whatever hammer works, right? So you say, give me a hammer. They bring a hammer, right? If you're splitting wood and you have to drift your wedge in, you're going to use a sledgehammer or the back of your maul. Right. And so you need to have that stuff. So, you know, if you're out there splitting wood, say, hey, hand me the hammer. Nobody's going to bring you a tack hammer, right? They're going to bring you a sledgehammer, right? Because it makes sense. Neurodivergent is one of those words that, yes, you need it if you are in one of those disciplines. But if you're not, it really is just something to add to your vocabulary to make you sound better or make you join a group or make you this and that. I don't subscribe to that. I don't. And I like words. I do. I had to work Saturday. We started at 5 o'clock in the morning. We had a project. We had to deal with a bunch of stuff on a bunch of these brand new cars. Everybody had to come in and we had to do a campaign. That's what we call it. If there's something that needs to be fixed or something needs to be addressed on each car, we would do a campaign where everybody who's assigned to that campaign, which happens to be everybody, about 20 people, we all come in and we all work on that task until it's completed, which we did. But I get there an hour early every day. I get to work an hour early every day. A couple reasons. I'm an old man, number one. So I get up, I go to work, and I believe that it's a privilege to have that job. They're not privileged to have me. I'm privileged to have them. They treat me right or I leave, but I mean, I'm there for them. And so if I go to work and I get a flat tire or there's a tree down or there's an accident and I have to reroute, I don't ever want to have to call my boss and say, hey, I'm going to be late to work, right? I want to be able to either fix a flat tire or call somebody and say, hey, get up, come get this car. You need to take care of this. You need to take it to the mechanics, but you also need to drive me to work real quick. I need to get to work. So I have to have time for them to come get me, take me to work, and then go deal with the problem, right? Or I have to reroute or whatever. So I'm always have that buffer. I also do not like to get into work running wide open. I want to get into work. I want to have a cup of coffee. I want to sit down in front of my toolbox. I want to open up my toolbox and re-wipe down my tools and lay everything out nice and neat. So when it's time to go to work, I'm ready to go. And then I have some extra time that I can go and sit down in the break room with a cup of coffee and look at videos or check emails or see how the analytics are on the channel. By the way, if you're not watching videos, I would appreciate if you would check out all the videos. Even if it's not something you really want to watch, please click on and watch them, because the higher my analytics, the more I can reach out to sponsors. The more sponsors give me stuff, the more stuff we have to give away, and the more travel and stuff that we can take, and the more content we can give to you. It costs to do this. Chief and I do not make money off of this. We all the money goes back into the channel, and so we get better audio. Chief can make better graphics and stuff like that, and all that costs. So back to I like words. I was the first one in the shop. Very exclusive shop in the plant. Less than 50 people work there out of 13,000 people, 13,000 plus in the plant. And you have to have access with your badge to get in. I mean, it's top secret hush hush stuff, right? We get the brand new cards before they're even built, and we figure them out and we make them perfect. It's pretty dang cool. But you go in there and it's a shop within a factory, a separate building. And so I walk in there and I am the first one in there. I've been there about 4 months now. Never happened before. People are always there before me. Yeah. But I got to walk in, and when the door shut behind me, I knew I was by myself. And I just took a moment. It took me back to when I owned my own hot rod and custom shop. And I just stopped. And I know it's stupid. Okay. And I just took in a deep breath. And I stretched out my arms, and I just allowed that moment to wash over me. If I would have had a cigar in my mouth, it would have been perfect. But you can't smoke there. But later that day, one of the bosses came up to me and he goes, hey, this is pretty cool. We're going to get this done. We'll get out of here. And blah, 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 blah. And I said, I got to tell you, boss, I love my job. I do. I love being here. And I was sitting there talking to him and to a feller, and I recounted that story. But I just didn't say it made me feel happy. I didn't say it made me feel content. I didn't say it made me feel like I was home, because it kind of felt like my home shop. But I said it made me feel ebullient. EBULIENT. Big word. I love words. Right? And ebullient basically means you get that warm, bubbly feeling and you allow it to be expressed externally, so people can, if you look at somebody who's positive, who's happy, who's encouraging, who's bubbly, who's just recanting a story that they really, really love, they are behaving in an ebullient manner. So I love words. Biodivergent, I don't think there's a need for it for regular people. I don't. I just don't. So we got 24 minutes and change. And so I want to fill up your time. And I hope it's valuable, or I hope it's entertaining, or I hope it's interesting, or I hope it's whatever. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. No, maybe it's time to cut me off. I get it. If you're home, get out of this car and get in the house, get to live and get to loving, because that's where life starts. That's where life happens. That's where the great stuff goes, right? You need to be in that great stuff. And I'm just a bookmark in the moment of your life that you allow me to be a little bookmark. So put me in the book, shut the book, and get in the house and get to live in that dream, write your own stories, right? But my childhood, I started working when I was 13. That was the age that you could have. Now I mowed lawns, collected soda bottles and aluminum cans when I was a kid. But to get my first taxed paycheck, I didn't know what taxes were. Taxes suck. I was 13. You had to have decent grades. The only reason I had decent grades in middle school is because you had to have a C average. And during the summer, you could get what's called a work permit. And the guidance counselor would allow you to get a work permit, and you could take it to businesses and get a job. And you get a summer job, right? And so my first job was at Florida Fasteners and Tools in Gainesville, Florida. And I was in a very, 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 very hot, non-air conditioned warehouse, had a fan blowing on me, one of the big industrial fans. But I took bolts and nuts and screws out of 300-pound kegs, measured them out, counted them out, put them in little blister pack kind of things, seal them up with a thing, and then I had to put them on a shelf. Right, I did a ton of that. I also did moving of whatever and just whatever, sweeping the floors and just learning how to work. And so I got paychecks, and I learned I love paychecks because money is freedom. My mom said, "Look, I can ground you. I can take away your allowance," which we really didn't get allowance. I could take away your allowance, but I really can't take away your money. If you buy crack, I'm gonna take your money. If you buy something stupid, I'm gonna take your money, but I can't take that from you because you earned it. And so I never bought crack. I bought some stupid stuff, but I bought lots of comic books. I bought lots of beef jerky. I bought lots of Jolly Rancher candy sticks, and then give them out to my friends, and that's a whole nother story. First purchase was a bicycle because I believed a man ought to have a ride if he has a job, and I bought myself a big old shiny black beach cruiser, 1-speed beach cruiser with gold spokes, gold handlebars, gold sprocket. Man, I was fresh and fly, right? Wearing my BKs. The next one I bought, I said, a man, if he's got a job, he's got a ride, then he needs a comfortable place to sleep, to rest. And so with my next, I had to wait 2 paychecks. The next time I went out, I bought a waterbed, a big queen size waterbed, because a queen size costs the same as a twin. It's like $10 more. I'm like, shoot, I'll get double the bed, right? So I had a waterbed. And then I started to amass stuff. But my dad, as a kid on the playground, as boys do, they get around, they brag about themselves, they punch each other in the junk, and they fart on each other, and all that stuff. But then comes the bragging moment. My dad did this, my dad did that, my dad did this, my dad did that. He'd drink people under the table, he'd get into fights, or he had this job, or he was in the war, or he was in this, or he was in that. My dad was not that. My dad was in the Navy on an aircraft carrier that never saw combat. I'm not casting shade on that. And his job was an important job. He was in the radar area, and he wrote backwards on a clear map so that the admirals and stuff and the people in charge could see where everything was. It's a very important job, but it's not a bragging job. He never got drunk. Got drunk once. He never got in a fight. He dated one girl, and then he married my mom. Nothing that you could brag about. And he was extremely smart. Oh my God, he was so smart. He was not handy. We would change oil. The few times we changed oil, he on the family station wagon, wood grain contact paper down the side of it. The way we change oil is we get a hammer, we'd get a screwdriver, and we would get a bucket. And we didn't have ramps. We pulled it up on a little bump on our driveway where you went up into the covered area. Had that little ramp up. We parked the car there, so we had a gap to crawl up under, and we would drive the screwdriver into the oil filter, and then we would use a screwdriver to turn the oil filter off, and then we would take a pair of channel locks and ring off the bolt for the oil pan. That was the extent of mechanics. We did one project together, made a glider swing, and that was it. He was not mechanical at all. Very, very smart. Very, very smart. Super intelligent. Well read. I think I told you last week that he had the encyclopedia. Back when we had encyclopedias back on the backside of the toilet, and he had bought me a set of encyclopedias, and so I started learning how to read and learn about things by sitting on a can reading. You can only read FD&C yellow number 5 on the bottle of shampoo or whatever for so many times. And so I would read about different countries and what their mineral rights were, what their animal was, what their population was, and all this other stuff. I mean, I really learned all that stuff. I really had a good time learning. I still do. But my dad wasn't that guy. And so he didn't have much to teach me in the way of growing up as a kid. My mom taught me how to fight. My dad taught me that if the bullies pick on you, which they did, you just curl up in a ball, and eventually they'll get bored of fighting you and they won't pick on you anymore. They'll go pick on somebody else. That was the extent of it. I mean, he didn't fight. He wasn't that guy. He was never out there. He was never in that stuff. So he didn't have those experiences. I don't fault him for not being able to teach me. I just missed out on being taught. And so my mom filled the gap, and I learned a lot on my own. I learned that fighting's not the thing to do, but if you're gonna fight, you're gonna fight. You're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some, but you walk away from it, right? So my mom and my dad went through a divorce when I was 13, I guess, 14, 13, 14. And as kids do, I sat there in the bed going, one day I'm going to have a son. I hope. One day I have a son. And back then I didn't think about a daughter. I was thinking about myself. And I'm so glad that I have my daughter. And I'm so glad I have my son. I'm so glad I have the first lady. I love her so much. I love my kids too. And my grandkids. And you. All right. So we've done all that. Anyway, I sat in the bed one night and I said, my son may be musical. My son may be artistic. My son may be mechanical. He may be mathematical. He may be. There's a new thing called computers that we had started using in the gifted program. First ones in the state, I think. And so this computer stuff may kick off, and my kid may be able to do, my kid want to do computers. Maybe my kid wants to be a traveler. Maybe he wants to be a military guy. Maybe he wants to this. Maybe he wants to that. And so I sat down and I wrote a list, 2 notebook pages long, at least, of jobs and experiences that I needed to have at least a little bit of a knowledge of, so that no matter what my kid was, I could teach him something. I could at least point him in the right direction to where he could find mentors to do that. You have to be master of it all. I just had to know a little bit. And so that list had a lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff, a ton of good stuff. Yeah, I had some other stuff. I had to get into a fight. I had to get drunk. I had to get a speeding ticket. I had to race cars. I had to, jump out of a plane. I had to get shot at, all these things. And so I kept that list forever. It's probably in the attic somewhere. I spent the better part of 10, 15 years filling that list. That was my passion. And so I would get, at one point in my life, I would get 3 or 4 jobs, part-time jobs at the same time, so that I could learn the experience, whether it's working in a movie theater, whether it's working in a restaurant, whether it's working the construction field, whether it's working on cars, whether it's in the military. One of the reasons I drove so hard to make it to recon is so that I could cross off a lot of those boxes, which I did. I got to do a ton of experiences that most people don't get to do, and so it was intentional that I did all these experiences. Now, excuse me, the downfall of that now is that I can't tell all my stories, because when people tell stories, they want their moments. And who can't stand, I don't like, if every time I tell a story of what I did, there's somebody who has a better story, which is fine if you got a better story. But if every time I tell a story and every time everybody else tells a story, you got a better story, I'm gonna be like, dude, really? You did that too? You did that too? You did that too? Really? You did it better? You did it bigger? You did it more? And so in my life now, I find myself not telling my stories, because I know people are like, there ain't no way that boy knows all that stuff. There ain't no way that boy has done this. There ain't no way that boy has done that too, and that too, and that too, and that too. And so I keep my stories kind of to myself, or I meter them out. I also am at a point to where I don't have to prove anything to myself. And so I don't have to be the guy that is the best at this or the best at that, or you know what? If you're great at it, dude, I'll support you 100%. I don't need to tell you what I know. It does not add to the conversation. Now, if I'm teaching you or training you, or I'm trying to give you a moment where I want to pour into you and maybe give you some encouragement, or maybe give you some direction, that's a different story. Then I'll say, well, let me tell you something. When I was such and such and so, this is where I found myself, and this is what I did. I have these experiences, and in these experiences, maybe it will benefit you, because you may find yourself in this position. In this position, this is kind of what happened. So be prepared for these consequences and these responsibilities, right? It's to help somebody out. So I will do that. But get me around cigars, good people, maybe a little bit of adult libation, everything's kicked back and relaxed, then some of my stories will start to come out, which is rare. But usually when those stories come out, they're usually pretty funny. They're cautionary tales at best, and they're pretty fun. I've used over the years, um, thanks to Steve Saka, Martin Tobacco and Trust. I've done what we used to call what is it? Have you got 5 minutes? Stories with about the Cigar Guy and Squatchy, which is the Dunbarton little Squatch. We would I have a Sunday video every Sunday, sponsored by Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust, and I will tell encouraging moments, motivational stories, and then sometimes I will tell some of my stories. And usually they are cautionary tales, things that you will laugh about for sure, things you will shake your head at me about for sure. But there's usually a moral or some grain of value that you can pull out of it. From things like when I stabbed a gator in the head with a frog gigging fork, and how I just bought that thing, $12. I bought that thing for $12. And when the gator snatched it out of my head in the middle of the dark in Watermelon Pond, I went in after that gator. Thank God. That gator was only about 4 feet long. It was more scared of me than I was of it because I was dumb. And the lake was only about 3 foot deep. So I had a fighting chance anyway. And then I got back in there, and my friends never took me frogging again. But I thought I got the biggest gator or biggest frog in the whole wide world. Then my eyes were spread way apart because it was a gator. Stuff like that. Jumping off of parking garages, three-story parking garages in the top of a palm tree, which was out off the end of, you could see the top of the palm tree from the top of the parking garage, and jumping to the top of the palm tree and sliding down the palm tree. Stupid. I'm trying to impress the first lady when we were first dating. And I said, hey, we're driving to the car. I said, hey, slide over here. There's a bench seat. Slide over here and put your foot on the gas. And she goes, what? I said, just put your foot on the gas. I said, grab the steering wheel. And she kind of grabbed the steering wheel, didn't know what I was, kind of weird. She was wondering where it was going. And I bet you're wondering where it's going. And I said, I'll be right back. I'm tired of driving. And as we're going down the road, 35, 45, 55 miles an hour, I climb out the window of the driver's side door. I was smaller back then, flexible for sure, and dumber. Crawled across the windshield, crawled in the passenger side window, and sat down and put my seatbelt on. I said, okay, drive. Just because. Stupid. And I tell this story sometime. If you ever get with me and we're doing a barn smoker get together or a hangout, or you come out to the studio and you say, hey, tell me a story. I'll tell you a story. I'll probably give you a list to say, you want to hear this story? You want to hear that story? You want to hear the time when I almost got kicked out of the Marine Corps? I got a couple of those. You want to talk about the time I went to jail? You want to talk about the time that I ran into a burning building? You want to talk about the time that I did this or I did that? Or you want me to tell you some stories about how I almost got kicked out of college with a pickup truck, a window, a door seal, a rubber door seal, and a rolling cart that held folding chairs, driving down, being drugged behind a truck. I'll tell you those stories. And I will tell you don't to do it because I'm not responsible for that. But I can tell you all sorts of fun stuff. But when it comes to people telling their stories, I just give them space. I let them do. My kids, they carve their own path. And there was a lot of opportunities that I could pour into them and say, hey, you're going to make these decisions your way, whichever way you want to go. But if you make these decisions this way, this is what happened to me, and these are my consequences. You might want to think about avoiding this decision, or you may want to double down and go forward. Or you may want to try this trade. You may want to try this job. You may want to try this career because I've had it. And these are pretty cool if you like this, and this, which is kind of neat because at some point in time, the season for making stories stops. You get to a point in your life where your friend circle has shrunk because some have just moved on and some have passed on. Your body shrinks, maybe not in volume, but in ability. It hurts more to do things. You're not as mobile. You're not as flexible. And then life just gets in the way. And at that point, when all of your life shrinks, if you don't have any stories to tell or to at least remember, I think there's going to be a lot of boring moments in life. I haven't gotten there yet, but I'm getting there. And I'm hoping I'm right. I'm hoping I can tell fun stories. I'm hoping I can tell the people that choose to be around me moments that may lighten their day, give them moments of ebullience because I'm neurodivergent. So, I don't know. 4 minutes. I will tell you, I'll be shooting these videos early. I'm going to really start to have to crank out on these because I don't want to miss. We're on episode 31 out of 31. I haven't missed a single week since we started. I'm very excited about that. My contract with Camacho is they get 40 episodes minimum. It is my goal. It is my focus to be able to do 52 consecutive videos of I Got to Smoke Let's Ride podcast with me, BTCG, brought to you by Camacho. This year, I've set that goal. So hopefully I don't get sick. Hopefully I have some called in the can. Hope I have some videos in the can if we're traveling, which we will be, to Barn Smokers in Connecticut really soon in 3 weeks, 2 weeks, I guess. So I want to make sure that I have that content done so that you won't know what's going on until after I come back and I talk about it. So when I talk about Barn Smokers, which we will, because Barn Smokers make great, it's going to be stories to tell. It will be a couple weeks late, probably. Just let you know all of our content, whether it be Chief Talk, whether it be Drew's Day, which is my Tuesday series for Drew Estate, whether it be Saka, which is Sundays, whether it be our content with other manufacturers for a monthly video. We promise about 90% because Christmas happens, Thanksgiving happens. Chief takes a break for 4th of July. He goes down with his family down to his wife's home place in Myrtle Beach, it's Conway area. And so he's not doing it that week. We could get sick. We could have a storm. The internet could go out. We could have just things we have to do. There may be an issue in the family that we have to deal with. And so we fill that spot to say, hey, we're going to give you most of the year, but we're going to give you at least 40 episodes or 11 episodes if it's a monthly thing or whatever. So just let you know, just give you the backside of it and just to burn up a minute and a half. But we're now at 59 minutes. And so this is the time where I get to do one of my favorite things and tell you how awesome you are. You are awesome. Please don't turn me off unless you're already ready to get in the house. Because you need to hear this, because the world's not going to tell you. The world's not going to tell you you're valuable because they want you to need them. You don't need nothing. You got everything you need. Right? You're valuable. People love you and you have love to give. When you do the things, or if you behave as the person you truly are, things happen that make the world a better place. It's not what you do, it's who you are. When you act as you are from your core, only great things come from you. And I believe that. And thank you for being you. Thank you for making the world a better place. Thank you for being a part of my life. To some of you commented from last week's video, week before last video now, that you've watched all episodes. I am so humbled. I'm blessed. Thank you so much for being long suffering and going through this. I hope you can stay with me through all 52 episodes this year. And I hope you share this with people so that we can grow this platform. Why? Well, I like to keep my sponsors happy, number one, but number two, and the real reason is because I think this is a moment that you can have some peace and pause in a crazy world. And I hope that's what this is for you. That's what it is for me. I'll talk to you later. I love you. Later, Tater. Camacho. Live life bold.